Hello and welcome to a Paint With Me video. Today I'm going to be taking part in Folktale week and the first prompt is birth. So paint along with me or just watch for some tips or to hear the story. So first of all, I sketched out a couple of ideas in my sketchbook just to see different layouts and ideas. I ended up going with the fourth sketch that I did, so it just shows if you get your ideas down on paper you might not always choose your first idea that comes to your head. I'm just taping off the edges here so that I get a nice clean edge when I'm finished. Getting all of my supplies here, so I like to use a couple of different sizes of paintbrushes, some small ones and a palette knife to mix the paints. And now I'm grabbing my kneadable eraser and just rubbing it on my sketch, and that takes away any layers of graphite that you don't want, just so that your image doesn't smudge when you're painting. A really nice combination of paints to use to make a skin tone is white, a tiny bit of primary red or crimson, and a little bit of yellow ochre, and it just makes a really soft, warm colour for skin, or for peach toned skin. So today I'm using Gouache to do this painting, and the brand that I've used is Winsor & Newton, but of course there are so many different brands out there, but I do like this brand. So if you don't know, gouache is a mix between watercolour and acrylic. It dries really fast, and you can if you have paint left over the next day, you can you can wet it with some water and it reactivates, so you can paint with the same colours that you used yesterday, which I love. So now I'm going to talk about the inspiration for this painting. So sit back, grab a cup of tea, or grab some paints and paint along with me. So this illustration is based on an English folktale called The Fairy Midwife and the Magic Ointment. One night, a midwife from Devon was about to go to bed when a strange man came knocking at her door and insisted that she went with him as his wife was giving birth. She agreed and was taken on a black horse to a nice little cottage. She assisted with the birth and a lovely baby was born. An old lady at the cottage gave the midwife a box of ointment and asked her to anoint the baby all over, but to be careful not to get any ointment in her own eye. The midwife thought this to be an odd request, so discreetly she tried the ointment on one of her own eyes to check that it was safe. Then she saw the place differently. The tidy cottage was actually a cave, and the mother, husband and old lady were all clearly fairies. The midwife managed to stay calm and she did not give away her secret. She was paid in fairy gold and taken home. Some time later, the midwife was at market when she realised someone was trying to steal apples from her basket. It was none other than the fairy husband. She shouted, accusing him of stealing. The fairy husband simply replied, "Which eye do you see me with?" The midwife answered, "The left eye." The fairy immediately touched her left eye, and from that moment on, the midwife never saw fairies again. Okay, so this is the part of the painting that I like to call the ugly painting stage. And as you can see, it's kind of scary at the moment. But this is the point when you feel like giving up. It just looks awful on the page, nothing like what you think in your imagination, not what you want it to turn out like, but you've got to keep going. You've got to trust the process, keep adding layers, adding details, and it'll all come together. Just keep working on it, because if you give up, it's the worst thing that you can do. Admittedly, it does all look pretty scary what's going on my page at the moment, but it's all about trusting the process. So I'm going to be using some of this Wreaths metallic silver acrylic paint to add the little sparkles in her eyes, some little stars, finishing touches. This is always my favourite part of the painting, when you get to add just the final bits that make it pop, the eyelashes, any little details. Just makes it extra special. Got some satisfying tape peeling action for you today. Just love it when you get a clean edge after you've peeled the tape off. So for this series of paintings, I decided that I wanted them all to have a decorative border, as it is Folktale week, and I thought that would just make it seem a bit more traditional, or a bit more decorated, like traditional folktale illustrations or paintings. Keep watching for my next few videos, which will be about the rest of the prompts in the series. So there we have it, the finished piece. I hope you guys enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed painting, and let me know if you painted along, or if you used any tips, or if you have any tips for me. Okay, thank you, enjoy the rest of your day.